farmers mention the absence of pesticides. As you can see, there is no clear difference between the two groups and their number of answers. But a clear difference can be seen in the second bar. Within the group of farmers who did not interact with their future buyer, more farmers didn't even know about organic agriculture, so they were currently under conversion. The second graph shows that in both groups, not all farmers were able to implement the organic principles successfully, while slightly more farmers of Group A succeeded. The last graph also shows something interesting. Twice as many farmers in Group A were able to name benefits of organic farming. This result might show that the commitment of the buying company could lead to more motivation and awareness of organic agriculture among these farmers. However, the remaining results are too weak to establish a link between relationship quality and the perception of organic agriculture by the farmers. This might be due to the fact that most of the knowledge was provided from the trainings held by the export company. Also, the fact that Group A didn't succeed more in implementing organic principles might be due to other reasons. Actually, we could observe that most of the farmers were very motivated to grow their cocoa organically, but they faced several problems, such as organic pest management, or they had too little knowledge about how to solve them. Also, they had lacking financial means or no access to tools in order to manage their fields properly. This means, on the one hand, a strong relationship with the buyer can lead to more awareness and motivation for organic farming. But on the other hand, more trainings on specific topics as well as tools must be provided. Thank you for joining this poster session with me, and please do not hesitate to ask any questions. Hello to everyone.
So,
thank you very much. Any questions from this audience here? I quickly check the WUFA page also.
Okay, hello, Kashina. Yeah, thanks a lot for this wonderful presentation. I just have one question. I'm just wondering, is cocoa among the main cash crops in Uganda?
it is, let's say, it becomes a cash crop currently, but it's not very an official cash crop. Like it's not on the main priority list of the government. So like coffee, for example, so no numbers or data is collected about cocoa recently.
Oh, okay. So from the preliminary analysis, do you think cocoa could be competitive to coffee production?
Yes, actually, we think so, because most farmers recognizing benefits of growing cocoa because they can harvest it throughout the year, and it depends. Sometimes if cocoa is grown very well, it yields sometimes more than coffee, so it could be very beneficial for the farmers. Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I didn't receive questions on the WUFA page, but I would have one question also. Your main conclusion was that relationship and like I understood it as better teaching or better provision of information with regard to organic principles could be beneficial, right?
Yes.
And what would you say? What is that, like, let's say, or call it the human factor or something? Would that help with regard to information provision? Because I think the information is out there, right? So what made you conclude that relationship is one of the most important determinants for better channeling of information?
So basically, of course, the farmer groups, they receive the trainings on the important topics to grow organic cocoa. Of course, the information should be somehow there, but we could observe that even the trainers of you who were Ugandans, they do not have the information there. They have no access to knowledge bases, or I don't know. Although the farmers cannot easily reach them if they have any question or if they have any difficulties. And we could observe that the group who had a stronger connection with their buyer from Switzerland somehow recognized more benefits and somehow were better integrated in the supply chain. So they had a farm group leader who were very strong connected with this buying company, and they could easily access them for asking questions, and they forwarded the questions.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think providing knowledge in a proper way is a big issue.
It's maybe providing answers, right? Or being present for questions.
Yes, also, so it depends. If you provide information probably beforehand, the question will be less afterwards. So,
Well, thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
interesting. Okay, let's proceed to the next one. Maria Isabel Santos. Do we have a video from her? No, and she's not here. Well, maybe the music event last night was too. Well, Ismail, I think, is the next one. Do we have a video? Okay. Well, Emmanuel, and he's there too. So, Emmanuel, I understood that you sent a video and you will be there for questions at the end, right?
Yeah,
Perfect.
yes, please.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I welcome you to my poster presentation. My name is Emmanuel Donko. I'm a researcher from the Agri-Food Chain Management Group in Humboldt University of Berlin in Germany. My poster presentation is titled Value Addition and Off-Season Market Participation Among Retailers in the Grasshopper Value Chain in Central Uganda. Grasshoppers are nutritious delicacies that provide essential nutrients such as protein, minerals, and vitamins. They are also source of livelihoods for many people. However, high seasonality and perishability of grasshoppers tend to
Is the tone
limit their
running
availability
properly?
throughout the year. Despite their importance, empirical studies on value addition and participation in off-season markets are scanty.
Emmanuel, is that the video that you sent?
Our paper, therefore, analyzes
Okay,
the
but maybe
effect of value addition on retailers' participation in off-season markets in Central Uganda.
Yeah, that is the
How
video,
do
but
we achieve our research objectives?
One cannot
the
really.
We
voice,
randomly
the
selected
audio
500
seems
grasshopper retailers
So
from
maybe you
two
can just
districts,
lead us
namely
through.
Kampala and Masaka, in
Okay.
Central
Or
Uganda.
can we check the voice
The
again?
data
There
was
seem to be
collected
some.
in December 2019 during the peak season period. The data was analyzed using descriptive statistics and binary regression model. Figure 1 shows that majority of retailers add value.
Okay, I suggest maybe I present it. I think that might be better. The voice.
Maybe we
Value-adding
can start from
activities that are performed by
the beginning.
retailers include
Okay.
everyone. I welcome you to my poster.
Can I share? I have the
My name is
PowerPoint. Can I share the PowerPoint?
I'm a researcher
Now it's all
from
mangled up. So maybe we can stop
Agri-Food Chain Management Group in Humboldt University of Berlin.
Just
okay, it's
go
working
to
now.
the technician. Maybe you
My
can
poster presentation is titled
Latin.
Value Addition and Off-Season Market Participation Among Retailers in the Grasshopper Value Chain in Central Uganda. Grasshoppers are nutritious delicacies for most people. They provide essential nutrients such as protein, minerals, and vitamins. They are also source of livelihoods for many people. However, high seasonality and perishability of grasshoppers tend to limit their availability throughout the year. Despite their importance, empirical studies on value addition and participation in off-season markets are scanty. Our paper, therefore, analyzes the effect of value addition on retailers' participation in off-season markets in Central Uganda. How did we achieve our research objective? We randomly selected 500 grasshopper retailers from two districts, namely Kampala and Masaka, in Central Uganda. The data was collected in December 2019 during the peak season period. The data was analyzed using descriptive statistics and binary regression model. Figure 1 shows that majority of retailers add value to their grasshopper product before selling. The value-adding activities that are performed by retailers include plucking, which is the removal of wings and legs from the raw grasshoppers. We have frying and then drying. Among these value-adding activities, it's obvious that majority of the retailers either pluck or fry their grasshoppers. Only few of them dry their grasshoppers. In terms of off-season market participation, very few traders tend to sell their grasshoppers in the off-season period. Figure 2 shows some pictures of grasshopper products. Picture A is unplugged grasshoppers. Picture B is plucked grasshoppers. Picture C is dried, and then picture C is fried grasshoppers. Results in table 1 shows price differential across season and then across grasshopper products. The price of value-added grasshoppers are higher than non-value-added grasshopper. And comparing the two seasons, our results indicate that value-added grasshoppers, particularly fried, command higher price during off-season than in the peak season. For example, a kilo of fried grasshopper is sold at $9 during the peak season, whereas the same kilo of grasshopper is being sold at $15 in the off-season. This indicates that if retailers are able to sell in off-season, they are able to generate more revenues. The profit model results in table 2 indicates that the value-adding activities such as frying and drying tend to show positive effects on retailers' probability to participate in off-season market, whereas plucking tend to decrease their probability. Other factors such as district, age, annual income, and storage constraint tend to decrease retailers' probability to participate in off-season market, whereas gender, education, household size, membership in association, and ownership of vehicle tend to increase their probability to participate in off-season market. In conclusion, we say that there's a wide price differential across season and across grasshopper products. Specifically, value-added grasshopper product commanded higher premium prices, particularly when they are sold in off-season. Collective action and education enhances off-season market. And lastly, there's high involvement of females in off-season market. I would like to acknowledge our funders. This poster is a product, it's an output from the Ento Economy Project, which is funded by the LEAP Agri Horizon 2020, and the Federal Ministry of Education and Research in Germany. We appreciate them for their financial support. Thank you for listening to my poster presentation.
Thank you, Emmanuel, for recording that video. Are there any questions to Emmanuel from this round? Can check the Woofa page. There are a couple more people now this morning. Any questions directly targeted? Otherwise, I would have a quick question. Emmanuel, which role did women play in your project, and why did you come up with that particular conclusion that women females do play an important role with regard to the marketing?
Okay. Thank you very much. From the analysis, we observed that more than 50% of the sample are females. And when it comes to value addition, particularly removing the wings and then the legs, which are in this paper I termed as plugging, frying and drying. Women are more active compared to men. Men would prefer to sell the unplugged grasshoppers rather than selling the value added. So
Okay.
our model indicates that the participation or gender, which is females, are more likely to participate in off-season market. And in off-season markets, only value-added grasshopper that extend the shelf life can be sold. That is, if you fry or dry, you can easily store these products and then sell your products when the peak season elapses. So during the off season, prices are quite higher, as I indicated in the poster.
Okay, so there's an interlinkage between the value editing and being a female or non-female. So there's
Exactly.
okay, thank you. Any other questions that then came up? Otherwise, we will proceed to Alex. Do we have a video from you? Did you send a video?
Yeah, I sent a video. So
Okay. So we could start the video from Alex.
hello.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Koch, and welcome to my presentation, which holds the title Collective Action Opportunities for Upgrading the Value Chain of Small-Scale Furniture Enterprises in Hawassa, Ethiopia. Ethiopia is challenged with deforestation and wood supply gaps caused mainly by rapid population growth and the expansion of agricultural practices. One major wood-linked value chain actor that depends on a stable supply of native wood is the small-scale furniture enterprise, which makes up 90% of the economic value added of the furniture sector in Ethiopia. Upgrading such enterprises has the potential to enable a win-win scenario in which enterprises benefit from sustainable development and the increased value for wood stimulates tree planting behavior at wood production levels. In literature, collective action is frequently discussed as an option for upgrading such small-scale operations. This led me to derive the research question, what is a potential form of collective action for upgrading the value chain position of such small-scale furniture enterprises? I explored this research question in Hawassa, Ethiopia, and conducted in-depth interviews with 54 small-scale enterprises and 12 key informants. Data was collected for the characterization and analysis of furniture-linked value chains, which included aspects such as the structure, horizontal social network constellation, as well as product-related value added. Adding to that, the enterprise development constraints, desires, and drivers were studied. This analysis supported the selection and description of an appropriate collective action upgrading strategy. The value chain structure revealed native wood to be mostly sourced from small-scale farms. Logs were semi-processed in open pits and then transported to central markets in Hawassa. Here, lumber wholesalers were located at two different market areas. Furniture enterprises purchased lumber at these markets depending on product specifications and processed these into furniture. It was observed that small-scale enterprises often engaged in informal social networking to share assets and resources such as machinery, market information, or technical skills. Furniture was mainly sold to end users who placed pre-orders, yet several enterprises also were linked to furniture retailers. The most substantial constraints for small-scale furniture enterprises were linked to market and government support failures. Land for workspaces were limited and expensive. Microfinances were difficult to access due to collateral requirements, and government support, such as trainings, were qualitatively low and hard to access due to selective bias and limited service capacity. Notable drivers were access to microcredits, as well as the sharing of physical assets and technical skills. Social networking was a common practice to surpass market failures.
Was that not like I couldn't hear the conclusion page?
There
Was
should be
Yeah.
I don't know why there's no.
Would you mind just to repeat the conclusion?
The conclusion was that based on these kind of results from the value chain analysis and the perspectives of the enterprises, derived the collective action upgrading strategy to be a business association.
Mhm.
This business association would be purposed to, for one, support these enterprises in gaining access to business development services such as trainings or microfinances. But for one, that's one reason for it, and the other reason would be also for the advocation of certain market failures and the advocation for improved market conditions towards the policy environment. So they would have kind of a collective voice and be heard by the government in order to improve their kind of market condition.
Mhm.
So it would also basically ultimately be purposed to like improve public-private transactions, which was one of the main challenges.
Well, this is interesting with regard to like I think when was the keynote speech on Wednesday? I think it was because conflict seemed to have like a detrimental role, right? And now you're saying that a collective voice for market failures is quite important for your case study. What collective actions could you name examples that actually were targeted for market failures within that approach to actually really have, or is it just a conclusion that you give to them now that they should have collective action?
Yeah,
yeah. Okay.
And they're not right now. They are overcoming market failures with sharing resources amongst each informal networks. But this is the recommendation to establish a formal form of collective action so they can voice their problems in front of the court.
And you think of, let's say, an organization form, right? Like of collective action, an institutional organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Association of these enterprises.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of these enterprises are really widespread. They're small. They don't have but they still make up collectively. They make up the majority of the sector in terms of value. I mean, the government mostly only hears these large enterprises, but they forget about the small actors.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. Thank you for recording, and thank you for adding the conclusion again. Any other questions? Checking the Woofo page. Yep.
Okay,
go ahead.
I have. Yeah. Alex, thanks a lot for this wonderful presentation. I would like to find out from you, talking about collective action. With your study, did you also look at collective marketing as also a strategy for collective action upgrade?
Yeah. I asked a lot of these enterprises whether they would be willing to, for example, share a market space or share, kind of collectively sell their products on a piece of land. But they were kind of reluctant to do this simply because they didn't want their products to be compared. In furniture products, you have a lot of different types of products, and a lot of enterprises who make cheaper products or not as nicely looking products as others. And another reason was that it would be an issue in terms of taxes, and it was harder then to kind of collect the sales receipts. And those are the kind of the two reasons why they were kind of reluctant to share a market space, actually.
Okay. And another question that I have is, are there any incentives for people to plant trees in Ethiopia?
Right now, it's limited, because the farmers, they do not receive a lot of market information. They do not receive the kind of market signals, and they're usually on the weaker side of the negotiation table with the traders. So the incentives are still limited. That's why you need to kind of drive this market, and then also have a collective action of enterprises, of furniture enterprises, so you can pressure the government to enable these incentives, also for small scale farmers, because they play a major role right now in supplying wood to the Ethiopian market.
Okay, and then lastly, I'm just wondering, are the woods harvested from the forest, or I know you just made mention that they are also being planted, but is there any possibility for people to harvest trees from the forest?
Well, the natural forests are strictly protected, so they cannot harvest trees from these forests. But there are plantations, for example, or
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, thank you. And I would now proceed to La Tim Tam. Did you send a video?
Yes, I already sent the video.
Okay. So if you don't mind, we would do the same procedure. So the technician will upload
Hello.
the video and you are there for questions at the end.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Hello, audience. My name is Lati Tam. Together with my co-author, we welcome you to the analysis of acacia hybrid timber value chains with a case study from central Vietnam. As you may know, Vietnam currently ranks as the fourth largest global furniture exporter and the largest wood chip exporter. However, most of the qualified raw material sought for the wood processing industry is imported from the foreign country, whilst approximately 80% of wood from plantation forests has been used for the wood chip production. Since 1990s, the Vietnamese government has released a policy to allocate forest land to individual households. Of the cultivated species, Acacia hybrid gained popularity due to its multi-purpose use and shorter rotation. And recently, around half of the plantation forest areas in Vietnam are managed by small-scale producers. Our study is going to compare between three typical timber value chains in Vietnam, named wood chips, non-adhesive furniture, and FSC-certified furniture value chain. We applied the value chain framework, and the information was collected through the rapid rural appraisal tool. In the first two value chains, traders purchased 5 years old non-adhesive timber from plantation in the form of standing tree. After harvesting, the logs were categorized, transported, and sold to the wood chip companies or to the furniture company. The timbers in the FSC certified furniture value chain were produced in S-year rotation in FSC certified plantation. Producers took over responsibility in timbers production, harvest, log categorization, and delivery to the furniture processing firm. The price of FSC certified timber in sawlog size was $61.8 per ton. After processing, final product was exported at a FOB price of $128 per ton of dry strip, $12.5 per ton FSC shares, and $14 per FSC certified share. The time constraint, we cannot explain in details our results. However, in general, the value chain analysis demonstrates that the total added values and added values captured by chain participants in FSC certified furniture value chains was highest. In addition, the large proportion of generated values was captured by the value chain actor, and remuneration for workers followed by the government attachment in the form of tax and duty collected at the national and decentralized level. These facts associated with the highest level of labor qualification and working safety underlies the social benefits generated by the furniture production and export sector, as indicated by its low created values, low labor provisions, and relatively negative environmental impact such as land overexploitation. The goods value chain exhibited the lowest economic performance. Despite that, the FSC certification application should be considered carefully. In addition, the expansion of single hybrids in short rotation plantation may lead to other land use competition, livelihood vulnerabilities, and high environmental costs. Therefore, the changes in political, social, and economic conditions are required. We thank you very much for your attention. Your comments and questions are very welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions directly targeted to Latim Tam? Latitam?
Okay. Thanks a lot, Tam, for the presentation. From the introduction, maybe I didn't get it very well. I think you were talking about the fact that there's high importation of furniture in Vietnam. Is that the case?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I'm just wondering, comparing imported furniture and then locally made furniture, which one is more expensive?
Oh, well, I mean, in my study, I don't focus on comparing between domestic or imported furniture, but the case here, I mean, the objective of the study is focused on the mismatch between timber supplies and demand in Vietnam, because like we are furniture exporter, one of the biggest furniture exporter in the world, but most of our plantation timber was used for wood chip, which is like lower value added. So we want to upgrade the value chain from lower added value to the higher added value chain. But yeah, I mean, yes, we are not compared between domestic and imported furniture, but we compare between lower added value and higher added value chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason why I'm asking this is if after upgrading the value chain to a higher value added furniture and the made in Thailand or the locally made furniture is still costly than the imported, people are still going to patronize the imported. That is the reason why I decided to ask this.
Yes, thanks for the question.
All right.
Any other questions from this round? Otherwise, I would thank Latitam for this presentation and just proceed to the next one, which will be by Irene, I think. So, stakeholders and marketing analysis of African nutmeg. Did you send a video?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, there we are. Thank you.
Welcome, dear colleague. My name is Irene Boué, and with our co-author are going to present our work entitled Stakeholders and Marketing Analysis of Monodora myristica in Cameroon. Cameroon is a production area of a variety of non-timber forest products. For example, Monodora myristica, commonly known as African nomad. Seeds are highly consumed as substitute in soup and stew for their nutritional value and is also considered a source of income for local communities. But the benefits derived from seed commercialization are still under investigation. Then, to better understand the value chain and the revenue gathered from the trade of the seed, we therefore investigated the market performance of group actors. The study was carried out in the western region of Cameroon, considered as the main production area of the species. Two different questionnaires were administered to 15 collectors and 57 traders during 1 month of data collection. Therefore, we collected the price of the seed per 15 kilogram bucket according to the abundance and the scarcity period. Another test was therefore used to analyze the difference of profit margin amongst wholesaler, reseller, and retailer group actors. The result of Figure 1 showed that seeds of African nomad are traded from collectors to consumer using 5 different channels. 74% of women were the most represented in the seed marketing. Therefore, the results of Table 1 show that wholesaler collected the highest quantity of seed compared to reseller and retailer. But the value added was higher for reseller, $52, followed by retailer, and the lowest for wholesaler during the scarcity period than abundance period. The same reseller also scored the highest profit margin in both abundance and scarcity period, and the lowest profit margin for wholesaler despite the large quantity of seed they sold, due to the fact that they supported all the charges. In conclusion, marketing of African nomad helped different stakeholders to diversify their income and contribute to improve their livelihoods. However, production and marketing sector face some difficult challenges, namely lack of subsidies, lack of market information. We suggest policy supporting resources allocation and gender equality to mitigate these challenges. Thank you for your kind attention, and I'm looking forward for your question.
Thank you, Irene, for uploading and recording that video. Are there any questions from this round directly to Irene?
Okay. I have one question. Yeah. Thanks a lot for the presentation, Eshini. I'm just wondering, I looked at one of the tables and I noticed that there is negative profit margin for wholesalers during the abundance period. And I'm just wondering what contributed to the negative margin.
Okay. Let me share with you again. I don't know if I can. Do you see my screen?
You can share the screen. You have to.
Is the article I have with me. Let me share with you the screen. I don't know if you see the screen.
Not yet.
Yes, not yet.
Not yet. No.
Okay. Okay, this is the page. Is it okay now?
No.
You have to press the screen sharing the green. Yep, something's happening now. Yep.
Yeah, here we have Okay.
Wholesaler, you say, please, could you repeat your question, please?
I'm just wondering, from here you can even see a negative profit margin. And
Yeah.
I'm asking, what do you think contributed to this negative profit margin? Because if a wholesaler, is getting negative profit, then doesn't even, it's not economically wise for the wholesaler to continue trade because person is just running into losses, and it's a huge loss.
Okay. Here, during the analysis, we realized that wholesaler can have a negative profit margin in the abundance period compared to the scarcity period. Why? Because during the abundance period, the price of the bucket is very cheap than compared to the scarcity period. And the wholesaler support all the charges. You have the travel. They are the one who travel from the town to the different village. They support other charges like traveling to the village, other studies in the market. So the marketing cost of the wholesaler is higher compared to the other actors. That's why they sometimes they prefer to keep the product and sell the product during the scarcity period to have a high profit margin. That's why here you have a negative profit margin in the abundance period.
Okay, so which means the problem is coming from high marketing cost, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now my last question is related to what kind of value-adding activities are performed by the actors?
I don't know if I understand your question very well.
Okay, like what kind of value addition what are some of the activities that they do to increase the market value for the nutmeg?
Okay, they can also process the seed in let me show you this figure. I wanted to add it in the picture, but the seed can also process. They can also process the seeds in powder and sell the seeds in different product.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your analysis, did you consider these various value-added products?
No.
Okay. I think probably you can also check that, the profit or the cost or the price for these different products may be important.
Okay, thank you.
That's all right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions directly targeted to this presentation? Otherwise, I would ask Arati Yoshi. Is Yoshi in?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
Perfect. You uploaded a video as well? Recorded
Yes,
it?
I'm into the video.
Okay. So maybe, Irene, you could stop the screen sharing now so that the technician can pull up the next video. If you go up to the page, very at the top, there, if you scroll to the very top of your screen, there should be a stop screen sharing sign. Yep, perfect. Thank you. Okay, welcome Yoshi in your presentation.
Namaste and greetings to everyone. This is Aarti Joshi from Nepal. Today I'm sharing my research work on linkage between large cardamom value chain and food and nutritional security in Bhojpur district of Nepal. For this study, 150 large cardamom growers and 40 traders were selected. Findings shows that farmers sell the large cardamom through 5 different marketing channels as shown in figure 2 and indicated by numericals 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 respectively. Among these marketing channels, marketing efficiency and producer share was found highest for marketing channel number 4, that is, when farmers sell their large cardamom directly to the exporter as shown in figure 3. Figure 4 shows that more than half of the population do not produce enough to meet their annual food demand and thus they depend on other sources of income for fulfilling their food requirement. And the income from large cardamom was found the highest among other resources as shown in figure 5 and 6, suggesting that large cardamom is the major source of income for fulfilling the food and other needs. Table 1 shows the relationship between different marketing channels and food and nutritional security. Here, food security is measured through Food Security Index and nutritional security is measured through Dietary Diversity Score. The Food Security Index value was found greater than 1 for all the marketing channels, suggesting all the large cardamom growers to be food secure irrespective of where they sell their product. However, large cardamom growers selling their product to local collectors were found to be nutritionally insecure with the dietary diversity score of 0 to 4, indicating the consumption of less diverse food. This might be due to the low producer shares for such farmers, as the marketing chain got elongated by adding up of the intermediaries, thus reducing the producer shares and decreasing the purchasing ability to buy nutritionally rich and diverse food product. Still, a large number of farmers follow this marketing channel because of several marketing problems as shown in figure 8. So, with these findings, we can conclude that value chain of large cardamom plays a pivotal role for maintaining the food and nutritional security in Bhojpur district. To improve the food and nutritional security condition, government need to upgrade the value chain of large cardamom and give attention to each stage, that is from production to marketing. Thank you.
Thank you for recording and being present. Any urgent questions to Yoshi? Otherwise, I would have a question. Let me quickly check the WUFA page before I jump in. But Yoshi, how about the nutritional value of cardamom? What do you know about the nutritional value? Because it's a herb, right? So it's and you use different indices for, let's say, nutritional status, dietary diversity score. How does cardamom play a role, or which importance does cardamom have with regard to nutritional value, overall nutritional value?
Okay, so this study, in the study we have searched how large cardamom affects food and nutritional security, and it is not directly that by consuming large cardamom the producers or the farmers become nutritionally secure. We have found that the large cardamom is the highest source of income. That is 42% percent of the income is contributed by large cardamom in the study area, those farmers who export their product directly, or those who have a direct linkage with the large traders gain greater amount of money, and thus they can invest on different food products, so then they can become nutritionally secure by consuming, by buying different diverse food product and by consuming them.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a, yep. Any other questions? Otherwise, I will pass the word to Isani.
Yep.
You uploaded a video as well?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I would then again ask the technician to start the video, and you would be there for questions.
Yes.
Thank you.
I think there's a problem
With the tone, right?
Yeah.
Can we restart the video maybe? Or
Okay. Then maybe I can share my screen, either share my screen or present on this video.
Either way. Yep, perfect.
Okay.
Yep, that works. But you would have to present, I think, because it doesn't have tone.
No?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Would you be able to just present your slides again?
Yes, I can, but could you please play the video and I'm presenting? Because I stopped the share.
Yep. Okay. Okay, again, let's start all over again. Welcome you, Sani.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Afsaneh Sani, and I'm presenting our paper entitled Digitizing a Doorway to the Sustainable Meat Supply Chain in Iran. What's happened? Yeah. A severe decline in household red meat consumption, almost 5 kilogram per capita, occurred in Iran in early 2019. During that time, the red meat market in Iran encountered a crisis during which the price of lamb and beef increased by almost 130% compared to the last year, and the rapid price jump and low level of incomes forced many people to make fundamental changes in their diets, such as drastically reducing or even eliminating red meat. Some research show that this crisis is partly affected by economic and political problems, such as the devaluation of the Iranian rial and the US sanctions. In this research, we aim to develop a theoretical framework for red meat supply chain governance in order to identify the key factors in the structure of it. Moreover, one of the sustainability improvement options is defined in relation to supply chain governance. The second objective is to investigate whether digital technologies can improve the sustainability of this chain in Iran and reduce the risk of such crises re-emerging. The next slide, please. Data field research is conducted in 5 cities in the eastern province of Khorasan Razavi. The area is selected because it has the highest production of red meat in the country, and it is an essential supplier of red meat in the region as well as to other parts of Iran. Furthermore, the distribution rate of subsidized imported frozen red meat for domestic consumption has increased 5 times since the beginning of 2019 compared to the same period last year in the province. Next slide, please. In this study, we applied governance of global value chain approach, transaction cost theory, and case study method. Next slide, please. As you can see in this chart, the structure of red meat supply chain governance in Iran can be called a multipolar chain in which the overall governance cannot be easily explained, and the main reason is the activity of brokers in different parts of this chain. We found out if brokers act as a buyer in this chain, the governance structure would be captive. But if they act as a supplier, the governance structure can be captive, relational, or modular. The problem is that brokers increase the price of each transaction in order to make a profit. Such a situation reduces the bargaining power of the main producers and distributors and also inhibit consumers' ability to discern the quality and origins of the meat. Next slide, please. We found out that applying radio frequency identification or RFID technology alongside blockchain will lead to achieve tracking of livestock and will reduce livestock smuggling. Moreover, it will improve management, sales of breeding animals, and genetic issues. Next slide, please. The governance structure of red meat supply chain in Iran led to the power concentration, abuses of buyer power, unfair trading practices, and it reduced trust between sectors. Since a low degree of chain coordination and collaboration from farm to consumer arise from an immature traceability, inability to rapidly track and trace products, and the separate record-keeping method in use, we propose applying blockchain. This technology is a decentralized online ledger which provides trust and data transparency for all meat supply chain parties. So it assures a full trusted end-to-end traceability. And we conclude that applying these two technologies can increase food safety in Iran, can create a transparent marketplace which enables faster decision-making. It can increase fair competition and earning for small producers. It can affect the economic expansion in Iran, and it can improve livestock living conditions and smart contracts that automatically execute payments, removes the need for trusted intermediaries to verify transaction. Yeah, next slide, please. I think it's the last slide. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Afsane. That's
You're welcome.
Any questions? We're already at the end of the session. Very interesting project, interesting speech. Sorry for the technical issues.
No problem.
Okay, I think our live session already ended. The technician just wrote a chat message. Nevertheless, are there any direct questions targeted to Afsane? I would have one quick question. What's the cultural value of red meat in Iran? Because there's so many like brokers, and you mentioned livestock smuggling even. Yeah. So what is the cultural value of livestock or red meat?
Actually, in Iran, we just consume red meat. It means just sheep, lamb, and beef. Because regarding our religious culture, or we have a religious culture, and that's why we cannot consume pork meat. And about poultry, we have a lot of problem in poultry sectors in Iran, poultry industry, because of import and imports of required inputs for this industry. That's why we cannot just substitute red meat with poultry. That's why we should find a solution for this supply chain, for red meat supply chain. It's an essential supply chain in Iran. Yeah.
Okay. Nevertheless, interesting that you have so many brokers. Yeah, that's always interesting.
Yeah, because of the power concentration, and we don't have any national data. How to say? There is no governmental organization in this supply chain who can stop the broker activity in this chain.
So there is a need for doing so, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I think we have to close this. I thank you all for being here. Thank you all for attending this session, and I would welcome you to proceed to the main session again. Yeah, thanks for being there. And hopefully we will be able to discuss some of the findings now with regard to market and value chains in the other sessions. Thanks for being there. Bye-bye.